So if you have a small business, you got to think about, okay, how big do I want to grow? If you don't want to be in the business of people, in the business of relationships, it's probably not the route you want to go. I have learned that being the CEO of a startup, you honestly are in the business of relationships because that's going to get you the farthest, is cultivating relationships that are going to get you farther than you can go on your own. Welcome to the Legalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, founder and CEO of Legalpreneur Inc. As a serial entrepreneur and someone that works exclusively with small business owners legally protecting their business, I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues faced by business owners, providing you with the business knowledge you need to catapult your business's growth and showing you just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled these legal and business issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information in the show. Hello there. Happy Friday. I'm really excited about today's episode because it's something very relevant to my current life, and that is startups versus small businesses. I've had a number of requests to do this episode, so here it is. We're getting to it. But before we get into it, if you are not yet part of the Legalpreneur membership, what are you waiting for? You get all access to your very own attorney, unlimited emails, a phone call every month, document review. You get access to all of our contract templates. You get a discount on additional services, plus a free trademark search and a free business audit. If you need an LLC, we will file it for you for free as well. So a lot of benefits in the membership. Click the link in the show notes if you're ready to get started. And I cannot wait to have you in the membership. Okay, so startups versus small businesses. This is something I enjoy covering because I went from small business in the law firm to startup legalpreneur. And I've had several small businesses, and I want to make sure that you know the difference between a small business and a startup. Now, there's one main difference, and then there's like a lot, still like more, a lot of nuances. But for the most part, the main difference is a small business is just what it sounds. It's small. They want to stay small. They don't plan to grow and scale to be a multi-billion-dollar company. Whereas a startup, they're positioning themselves for growth. They want to grow quickly. Small business, they just want steady revenue. Typically, it's just the operator that's wanting to maintain the revenue coming in for the business and not basically just not work for anybody else. They want to have their own small business, bring in their own money. So if you have a small business, you got to think about, okay, how big do I want to grow? If you don't want to be in the business of people, in the business of relationships, it's probably not the route you want to go. I have learned that being the CEO of a startup, you honestly are in the business of relationships because that's going to get you the farthest, is cultivating relationships that are going to get you farther than you can go on your own. So think about, how big do you want to grow? And if you're like, absolutely, I want to be the next billion-dollar CEO, I want to go the startup route, then do it. Get to it. Now, when you have a startup, you don't have to have investors. You can bootstrap, which means you just grow it on your own, or you can get investors. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what's right for you. So when I had the law firm in 2020 is when we decided, okay, we're going to launch this side project. And by this time, we already had the Legalpreneur membership, but we wanted to launch contract templates. And so we launched the Contract Vault. However, I created Legalpreneur LLC because I knew eventually I wanted Legalpreneur to be the umbrella. And I've been very strategic about everything, but the Contract Vault just happened to be the first product inside of Legalpreneur, the company. Then at the end of 2021 is when I decided to go all in with Legalpreneur. So up until then, Legalpreneur was a side project to the law firm because the law firm was bringing in great money. It was wonderful. The law firm basically paid to create and grow Legalpreneur. Now, the plan was to raise a seed round. So a seed round is basically typically the first round of funding in a startup. And it's typically when you already have product market fit, you have some revenue coming in already, but not a lot. Now, we decided we were going to raise $2 million for our seed round at the beginning. So we decided this in 2021, started trying to raise in 2022. It turned into a friends and family round. We ended up raising 150,000. And I did have VC commitments, but we just realized, okay, we're not actually there yet to want that kind of boss, because basically if you have VCs, they are your boss. And we had a lot of kinks to work out. I was speaking at a conference last week and we had the deal day, and I was sharing at the conference that I spoke at, basically going from small business to startup. And I was talking about how you have to track your numbers, because in a small business and for the law firm, like, we were just cranking along. Like, we didn't have the foundation that we have now in Legalpreneur. And I remember some investors, because we had really crazy growth with the membership and it did really, really well. And we thought we were golden. However, our churn rate was not good, which is how long are you keeping customers? How often are they dropping off? And the higher the percentage, the worse it is. Well, our growth of the membership was like 95% year over year. Our churn rate was like 80%. And we only knew that because we started tracking it. We're like, oh shit, like, we have to figure out how to get this churn rate down. And so getting ready for our deal day with the investors, we were tracking everything again. And now we're like, we just always keep it updated. But I am really proud to say that over the past 6 months, we've been under, I think, a 3% churn rate. And that came from a lot of hard work trying to figure out, okay, how do we get members to stay on longer? How do we make this better for them? How do we provide them a better service? And how do we get them to see the value to stay longer? Because it wasn't that we weren't providing a bad service. It was mainly they just didn't see the need to stay on. And so we worked really hard to do that. And so we went from 80% to less than 3% in a year. And so I was really proud of that. But I'm just telling you this because if you want to go from small business to startup, you have to know these numbers. You have to start tracking these numbers. Now, another thing, if you want to raise money from investors, is you have to make sure the market size is there. Investors will not talk to you if your market size is under $1 billion. And most of them want to see more than $1 billion market size. Like the legal services industry as a whole, $350 billion. Online legal services, $11 billion industry. So you have to know what type of industry you are in and how big is the market. Will investors even talk to you? I don't want to throw too much at you about startups, but I'm kind of just like teaching y'all as we go along, because we are back to raising again. We're looking for our lead investor for our seed round. Gonna raise like 2 to 3 million, and we have a lot in the works. It's really exciting. The deal day was great, following up with all those investors, and this is gonna be a big year. If you have questions, like, I really do want your feedback. Do you all enjoy hearing about the startup stuff? If not, I will only talk about other stuff, but I know that it's helpful. It would have been helpful for me to hear, because I didn't know I could do this. I remember I was at Chris Harder's mastermind in 2021, and basically it was there where I realized, holy shit, like, all these people that are raising money and, these fast growing startups and like, they're no different than me. Like, they just did it. They just did it. They're no different than me. But I didn't know. And if it wasn't for Chris Harder literally like throwing it in my face, I wouldn't be doing it. So that's why I wanted to bring this to you all here, to hopefully show you, hey, you can do this too. And I've said it here before, but I'll say it again. My goals are, number one, sell Legalpreneur for at least $1 billion. I would like to do that within 7 years, because Allie will be 10, 11. Thomas will be 12, 13, and I want to make sure that I'm around a lot more when they're going to be traveling a lot more for sports, getting more active. Definitely there for everything in high school. So um, that's my goal, is to sell for at least $1 billion within 7 years. And I then want to take that and start my own fund, my own VC fund for underrepresented minorities and women. So yeah, that's my goal. And I'd love to have you along for the ride. Anyways, let me know if this is helpful. I would love to hear from you. Reach out on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are. Shoot me an email. And I'll see you next time. Here at Legalpreneur, we're committed to providing a supportive legal community for all business owners. I know how scary the legal stuff can be. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. Have any questions or comments about the show? Feel free to drop me a line on Instagram. I promise I read all of the messages and comments. And if you want to be a guest on the show or know someone that would make a great guest, simply fill out our application form and a team member will reach out if we think it's a good fit. I'll see you in the next episode.